Welcome to another episode of the Speak Up YouTube channel where we speak up everything sports. I'm Kendall Hollowell. That's Kenny Hughes alongside me. College football has been back for a few weeks, but the start of the SEC season begins this Saturday. We know that the college football season doesn't officially start until they're playing football in the Southeastern Conference, so we're here to preview the 2020 season. Alabama missed the playoff for the first time since it began back in 2014. They lose Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback as well as Jerry Jeudy and Henry Ruggs at receiver, but Alabama's got to be the favorite going to SEC.
It's not even a question, honestly.
Yeah. Mac Jones is going to start at quarterback, but I believe the better quarterback is Bryce Young.
When do you think we'll see Bryce Young as far as into the season?
I think it really begins at that the 4-game mark when you can officially redshirt people. So with Mac Jones, he has experience.
Yeah.
He's looked good. He's 3-1 as a starter. He's been there for 4 years in the program. But with Bryce Young, there's that it factor.
Yeah.
He throws with anticipation, accuracy. He's mobile as well. You can do so much more with this offense when you have Bryce Young under center.
Definitely. Return a lot of receivers still too. Smith is still there.
They do. This is the best receiving core in the country. Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith led even with Jeudy and Ruggs, he led the team in yards and touchdowns.
Definitely.
Jalen Waddle is as dangerous as they come with the ball in his hands. A threat in the return game. He'll be more involved in this offense because they'll be the two main guys.
Yeah.
Alabama had 2 receivers drafted in the first round this past year, and they'll have 2 more in the 2021 draft.
Definitely. And it's Alabama. They always gonna have defense, of course.
Yeah.
Let's
go back to their offense. Let's finish talking about the running back. Yeah,
Running
back.
Running back.
Najee Harris, the beast.
Yeah.
So he's compared
Still
a lot to Derrick Henry because of the combination of size and speed, but he's a much better pass catcher and route runner than Henry is.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
Bigger guy. He's isn't about the same size, 6'3".
They're about the 6'3", 230.
30, 40.
Yeah, so Henry's got a little bit more weight, but yeah, Alabama always has multiple running backs. Brian Robinson, another guy who's been there for a few years, reliable guy. Trey Sanders was a 5-star guy 2 years ago. I mean, 2 years ago, class of 2019.
Yeah.
But so they have guys. This is probably the best offense still in the SEC,
Definitely.
even without Tua, which is a surprising thing to say.
Yeah, definitely.
So what is because you also believe that Bryce Young will eventually become the starting quarterback.
Yeah. Like you said, week 3 or 4, I think he'll come in and play. Like you said, it factor, man. You can't even seeing him in high school as like a sophomore, junior, dominating kids that were older than him.
Right.
You could tell he was elite out here in California. So I think he's just going to carry over to college. So
yeah, I think if they had a spring practice and he was able to showcase it more, and then kind of a normal fall camp, kind of to say it, that he would be the starter because you'd be able to see more of him. He would have been able to progress more. But this is not a shot on Mac Jones or anything like that. They can still go and reach the college football play. They're still in the SEC with Mac Jones under center. But I think there's just a different factor when you have Bryce Young under center.
Yeah. Different plays are made, man. It's kind of similar to like Kyler Murray compared to any other quarterback. So,
How do you think? Because I think the situation is very similar to. I know I've seen a lot of comparisons to the Tua and Jalen situation, but I think it's kind of similar to the Blake Barnett and Jalen Hurts situation back in 2016.
Yeah, it's a lot closer to that.
Where Mac Jones will be the starter to begin the season, and then it's not going to happen the first game exactly how it did.
Yeah.
But I eventually believe they'll put Bryce Young in, and eventually once they put him in, that they're just not going to take him out.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Defensively, it's Alabama.
Yeah.
So they technically had a down year in terms of what they've been in the past with Nick Saban, but they get Dylan Moses back this year.
They were relatively young on defense last year, too.
They were.
Usually they have juniors and seniors at linebacker. They had 2 freshmen starting at linebacker. Those guys are both coming back. So.
Right. So they have depth, they have experience. They have third-string guys that can start in pretty much every other program.
Yeah. Surtain's back, you said.
Yeah. So they have to figure out the things in the secondary. So, yeah, like you said, Surtain is back. I've seen a lot of mock drafts that have him getting drafted in the top 10.
Yeah.
So that just shows he's a big physical corner, 6'2", 205, lockdown out there.
One of those guys. So it's Alabama, man. We expect for them to reload and be as good as they usually are, honestly.
Alabama.
Yeah.
LSU. So LSU had the greatest season in the history of college football. They won their first national championship since 2007. To make this clear, this is a rebuild. It's a reload, not a rebuild in Baton Rouge. Miles Brennan takes over at quarterback. And so Miles Brennan is not some freshman or sophomore with no experience, a guy that's coming in with a lot of hype. He's a veteran guy that's been there for 4 years with Steve Ensminger. He's got to watch Joe Burrow for the past 2 years operate at practice, in the games, in meetings, film study. So he's been around. Miles Brennan's going to ball this year.
Yeah.
Don't sleep on Miles Brennan.
Oh no, I definitely agree. Them losing Jamar Chase is huge.
It is
I
huge.
I feel like that's going to be a lot bigger than people realize. They do have a lot of talent. They still have Terrence Marshall. They still have Eric Gilbert, their freshman tight end. I just think that lot, because he does so much for their offense. He was able to line up outside, inside. He's, so.
It is a big factor
Yeah.
because when they had Chase in there, I kind of thought that they could be a playoff team, that they could challenge Alabama more. I still think they can challenge Alabama the more this offense starts to progress throughout the season because they don't play till November 14th.
Yeah.
And they do play in Baton Rouge this year.
Yeah.
But like you said, Terrace Marshall he's probably the most underrated receiver in college football, a guy who doesn't get talked about enough, even though he was on the national champion last year. 13 touchdown catches on only 46 receptions. They have guys. They have McMath, receiver, senior. They have a ton of freshmen. Alabama does too. They both had big recruiting classes the past couple of years at receiver, so that's not going to be an issue. You brought up Eric Gilbert.
Yeah.
Him being named to the third-team SEC team when he hasn't played a snap shows what they expect of him and just shows the talent that he has.
Yeah, I feel like he's gonna have to play a huge role in this offense, especially with Jamar Chase being out for sure.
So they lose Edwards-Helaire at running back, so they're going to go running back by committee. They have Curry, they have Davis Price, they have Emery, so they have guys.
Yeah.
That's not going to be a problem. Defensively, they have the best cornerback duo in the country.
Yeah.
Stingley and Flott are as good as you'll find in the not just SEC but the entire country.
Easily.
Jacoby Stevens,
Yeah.
big hitter back there, a leader.
Rocking number 7 this year too.
Yes.
So
Good to
it's a
see
huge
that.
deal out there. So.
Jabril Cox. I was kind of surprised not to see him on any of the preseason SEC teams, but transfer from North Dakota State, can run, can cover, can hit. He can do it all.
He'll be a first-round draft pick, honestly.
He will be.
Neil Farrell too. He opted back into the
He
season.
did. That was big
another-
for them.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
another D tackle who's probably gonna be a first-round draft pick too. So.
Yeah. So even though they lost all these guys, I fully expect LSU to be competing with Alabama and be in the top 5, top 10 for the entire season.
Okay. Expectation win total. What do you see?
I'm gonna say 8 right now.
8 wins.
8 wins.
2
Yeah,
losses,
8 and 2.
okay.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna pick Alabama.
Yeah.
And then I think I will pick Florida.
Those are 2. I had the
Yeah.
same 2 losses. I agree with that.
Yeah.
I see. And it's not even. I think LSU will be bad or they'll lose the game. I think it's just Florida playing Florida early in the season.
Yeah.
Florida always gets off to strong starts.
And they're in Gainesville this
Yeah.
year.
So I feel like that's going to play
Yeah.
more of a role than LSU playing bad. So
That pick could change when we see LSU for these first couple of weeks, but right now I'm gonna say Florida in that game.
I agree.
Let's go to the SEC East. It's a same as the West. It's a 2-team race, Georgia and Florida. I originally said Florida, but I'm changing my pick to Georgia. I'm going to go with Georgia. JT Daniels takes over at quarterback. They're going to run a new look kind of offense. He has much more arm strength than Drake Fromm did.
Yeah. He spreads the ball around. People, a lot of people don't know if they didn't see him at USC. He was spreading the ball around as a true freshman, and he was in a class. Remember, he was an early enrollee the whole year. So he's been elite for a while.
At running back, Georgia always has running backs. That's running back U. White and Cook will take over. They have plenty of experience. They've been there for a number of years, so they'll be fine there.
Similar to Chubb Michelle type situation. You see it like that, or
I'm not going to say it's similar because they're 2 different kind of backs. So Chubb and Michelle were bigger guys.
Yeah.
I know White and Cook are kind of better pass catchers. Yeah, but kind of similar with the 1-2 punch. Yeah, they can do a little bit more, but they'll be fine.
Okay,
They'll be fine at running back. At receiver, George Pickens is one of the best in the country. The thing with them at receiver is they have to find the next guys. The next 2 to 3 guys. So that was kind of the problem last year with Jake Fromm is it took a while for them to get going, even with Pickens. And I could kind of see a similar thing this year with Daniels. But they just need more guys to step up at that position.
I don't know. I feel like the freshman Jermaine Burton, he played out in Calabasas High School, I think.
Yeah.
He can step in, maybe fill that role. He plays slot receiver. Another guy, Demetrius Robertson. He was
Robertson
a
was
five-star.
Robertson was a freshman All-American when he was back at Cal in 2016. I kind of expected him to be the go-to guy from last year.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe he can be that guy with Daniels this season.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe those two guys can step up and help out on offense for sure.
Defensively, this is the strength of their team. They were elite last year, a top defense. They'll be elite again this year. They have 8 starters coming back, led by Richard LeCount at safety.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah.
They are good. That is an understatement.
Sorry. They just got to, honestly, with Georgia, it's just one problem with them. They just got to get over the hump in the SEC championship game. That's really the biggest issue. They haven't, they get there every year.
Yeah.
They battle. They just have to take that next step and beat whoever, whether it be Alabama or LSU. They have to figure out a way to get over that next step.
So they'll see Alabama this year
Yeah.
in the regular season, so that could be a factor. That kind of give them an idea where they're at.
Yeah.
Because I don't expect them to win that game. I'm going to pick Alabama. But it lets them know kind of where they're at nationally
Early
and then
on,
against Alabama before they play them in the SEC championship game.
Definitely.
Florida.
I don't know.
So what are they? They're in the top 5 also in the country. They lose a lot of guys.
Yeah.
They lose their starting running back, couple receivers, guys on defense, but they have a number of five stars transfers coming in.
Yeah.
So they could be good. Kyle Trask is still at quarterback.
Yeah.
Dan Mullen is a very good coach. I just don't think they're better than Georgia right now at this point with the number of losses they've had.
Yeah, and like I told you earlier before, there were like reports coming out that some of their O-line is kind of patchwork right now. They've had a few injuries during camp. So, yeah, if they're going into the season like that, usually when you have line issues early on in the year, like it carries on through the season. So if that's a concern, I feel like they have no chance against Georgia in the SEC East.
Yeah, that November 7th game when they play in Jacksonville, the annual game, is a playing game.
Yeah.
That's already said. That whoever wins that game will be in the SEC championship game and have a chance to compete for the college football playoff.
Easily.
Let's talk about some of these other teams. Auburn also has a lot of guys to replace, especially on defense.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is back in his second season. For him, you need to see him perform better in the big games.
Yeah.
That was the biggest thing for him last year. And I think it's good now that he had that experience because it prepares him now for the future.
Yeah.
What are your expectations for them going into the season?
I don't want to say I'm not expecting much. I feel like they'll have 3 or 4 losses this year because they lost so much on defense, and that defense did help a lot last year. Bo Nix is gonna have to carry more of the load. You know, they lost so much, so it's really gonna be on him. But I think because they don't have as much around them, 3 or 4 losses for them for this year.
And then they lose Whitlow at running back. That was their leading rusher the past couple seasons, so he transfers.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that one. A&M has they have a lot of his starters coming back this year.
Yeah.
But I don't have a lot of confidence in Kellen Mond.
It's just the inconsistency problems, bro. It's super inconsistent.
Yeah. It's kind of with A&M when you see Alabama and LSU and some of these other big-time teams on their schedule, it kind of like you mark it down as a loss before the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
And that's kind of been the problem since they've been in the SEC, is that when they play these bigger teams that they just don't match up.
Yeah, you could tell. And maybe this was the year, but I feel like it makes it a little bit harder, too, with Jamon Osmond deciding to opt out of the season. That was their number 1 receiver. So you add that into play, too. Kellen Mond, who's already not a consistent quarterback, and then he loses his top guy. I don't see it really playing out super well. They're going to win games, of course, but they're not. I don't think they're going to take that next step and be in that elite conversation in the SEC.
You need him to – it's kind of like how we saw in the NFL with Carson Wentz. You need to be able to elevate these guys because you are in your 4th season as the quarterback at A&M. So you need to be that leader and just a guy that carries his team. That's really what it comes down to with him.
Yeah, definitely.
So we'll see. You like Kentucky. You have some expectations on Kentucky.
Yeah, like people, I feel like they're probably the most underrated team in the SEC every year. No one ever expects for them to do well, but they always exceed expectations. They returned Terry Wilson back at quarterback. He got hurt early in the year last year, missed most of the season. Most of their offensive line is coming back this year. They did lose Lynn Bowden, which was Mr. Do Everything, lined up everywhere for that team. But they have a vet running back, A.J. Rose, coming back. And they also have a receiver, Josh Ali, who can line up both in the slot and outside, who can probably make a lot of plays for him. And with Stoops, you already know they're going to play good defense.
Right.
So I think Kentucky could be a surprise team in the SEC for sure.
Tennessee. So I have some expectations for Tennessee this year. They're good in the trenches,
Mhm.
but and then they're talented in other areas.
Yeah.
But it comes down to the quarterback position. So they have a 3 quarterback position race right now.
Mhm.
We'll see what they decide to go with. But we've been down this road before with
Yeah.
Tennessee expectations, and then they don't meet them.
Yeah.
So what are their? I expect them the 5 to 6 win total.
I was gonna say like 6, 7, so around the same area for
Yeah.
sure. It's quarterback play with it. Honestly,
is.
it's starting to get to that point where you can say they have the talent around them. They're
Right.
like you said, their trenches are great. Pruitt's gonna always coach up a great defense. It's really just the quarterback play.
Yeah.
So
I actually want to go back to Georgia because I want to talk about the pressure that Kirby Smart is under.
Mhm.
So, what is this? This is his 4th season.
Yeah, 4th
Now
season,
as a coach, we know he's a great recruiter. They bring all these classes in, top classes, but now we have to see it all come together. You can't be the little brother to Alabama. You have to take that next step.
Yeah.
You have to be dominant in the SEC East, and you have to get over that hump. You got to beat Alabama.
Yeah.
This is the year you have to beat Alabama.
this is the perfect season to do it as well. You don't have there's no non-conference schedule. You can lock in. You're going straight into SEC play, so you know you're locked in all the way through, and you see them early in the year. So.
Right.
If anything, you can do what Bill Belichick does and play, like kind of scout him out that first time you play and see what you can do. So,
Yeah. We'll see. It's definitely going to be an interesting season.
Mhm.
So that's going to wrap up this edition of the Speak Up YouTube channel. Make sure you like and subscribe. We'll catch you guys next time.